Model Selection Software, Part 2. Welcome to the module Model Selection Software, Part 2. There are two parts to the Model Selection Software series, modules TOOLS310 and TOOLS311. The first module covers the system model selection function. You would use this function when you know an application's operating conditions, and would like recommendations on which SMC equipment is suitable for the job. It is recommended that you complete module TOOLS310 prior to starting this module, TOOLS311. This second module in the series covers the calculation of system characteristics function. You would use this function if you already have particular SMC equipment in mind, and wish to know if your choice is suitable for the application. This module also covers how to use the simple version of the model selection. After completing this module, you will be able to correctly utilize the condition input screens, interpret the software output results, identify when a selection is not suitable. Please note, it is assumed that users of this software have a working knowledge of engineering principles, and the software should be used as a guide only. For information about the download process, software settings, and menu operation, please refer to the module TOOLS310, Model Selection Software, Part 1. Let's continue with the system characteristics calculation function. This allows you to calculate system characteristics using a known parts list, for the following: a standard 1-valve, 1-cylinder actuator circuit, a special circuit such as operating with 2 pressures and comprising several components, a manifold connector circuit comprising several valves, several cylinders, a branch circuit comprising 1 valve, several cylinders. What is the difference between the two standard cylinder circuit functions? The configuration method and the circuit results screens are identical. The difference lies in defining the operating conditions. The components are no longer suggested for you by the software. You need to give the reference for each component part. If a selected component is incompatible with your circuit's configuration data, a message will appear. However, this is only a warning and you are able to continue with using the software. Please ensure that all items selected can be physically joined together in the real world, or your calculation will give you a false result. For example, if you are using 8mm fittings, please ensure your tubing is 8mm, or if you are using M5 valve ports, please select the appropriate silencer. In this example, the customer wants to use the following SMC equipment and operating parameters for their press fitting application. If you want, you can download and save a copy of this example from the Resources tab at the top of the page. This will make it easier to practice the example on your own PC. Firstly though, let us show you a few videos demonstrating how the software works. We start from the home page, select Standard Cylinder Circuit from the System Characteristic Calculation menu, and then click New. Our application consists of a double-acting single-rod cylinder, equipped with flow controllers. Quick exhaust valves are not used. The air supply is via an inline-mounted 2-position double-solenoid valve. Click Next to continue to the condition input screen. We enter the operating conditions, piping and speed controller position. Next we enter the information about the load, followed by selecting the modular numbers. Using the ellipsis buttons, select the modular numbers from the applicable lists. In this first example, we will set the speed controllers as 100% open, both left and right. Click Start Calculation. The selection results page opens. The layout is the same as described in module TOOLS310. Take note, for this example, the calculation of the full stroke time is 0.2 seconds. If you click on the cushion calculation button, you will see that the energy to be absorbed is outside the allowable range. Without changing the cylinder size, there are two options available to us to meet the allowable energy: either set speed controllers to reduce the speed of the actuator, or add an external shock absorber. Let's start with the speed controllers. Click Return, and change the speed controller opening percentage to 35%. Please note that in our push application, only the left speed controller needs to be adjusted. The one on the right setting has no influence on the result. Click Start Calculation. The new results are displayed. The full stroke time is now 0.33 seconds. Click on Cushion Calculation. We can see that the new kinetic energy value is within the allowable range. This solution is only acceptable if the customer is happy to reduce the speed of the cylinder, and consequently, increase the cycle time. Now imagine that the cycle time should not exceed 0.25 seconds. The setting of the speed controllers is therefore not suitable since the total travel time has increased to 0.33 seconds. One solution is to add a shock absorber. To do this, return to the circuit configuration screen and remove the speed controllers by clicking Not Used. Then click Next. Re-enter the application details and conditions. Click Start Calculation. The results are displayed, with a full stroke time of 0.18 seconds. Click Cushion Calculation to verify that the cushion calculation is outside of the allowable range. Click Shock Absorber. The shock absorber selection screen opens. Enter the absorber operating conditions. Quantity: 1 shock absorber. Operation: 20 cycles per minute. Click the Select Starts button. The program then proposes which shock absorbers are able to absorb the total energy. If no shock absorbers are suitable for your application, a message will appear on the screen. To accept the recommendation, click OK. You will see the shock absorber has been added to the model list for your proposed application. Special circuit. This function is used when the extend and retract pressures are different. It can be used when calculating the characteristics for a two-pressure circuit, where the cylinder is activated by two different pressures due to the use of a regulator between the valve and the actuator. It can also be used when calculating the characteristics for a composite component circuit, also comprising other components, not including the flow controller between the solenoid valve and the actuator, for example, restrictive devices such as the on-off valve. The further cushion and condensation calculations, plus the choice of shock absorber, can be carried out using this function. Let's take the example of a two-pressure circuit, starting with the special circuit using the following parameters and equipment. If you want, you can download and save a copy of this example from the Resources tab at the top of the page. Let's take the example of a two-pressure circuit, starting with the special circuit, and click New. Highlight the two-pressure circuit and click Next. For our exercise, let's indicate double-acting single-rod cylinder, meter-out speed controller. Quick exhaust valve is not used. Left side pressure regulator. Two-position double solenoid valve. Inline mounting. Let's move on to the next stage. Condition input. As previously shown in Module Tools 310, you can use the drop-down lists or type the required values into each field. With this example, the difference is that we are entering a pressure regulator setting pressure of 0.2 megapascals. Use the ellipsis buttons to choose the modular numbers for each component in the example. Click on Start Calculation and the selection results page is displayed. Manifold circuit. This function allows you to calculate the characteristics of the base circuit that operates several solenoid valves simultaneously. The selection process is broken down into two parts, common and individual. This function allows you to enter up to 20 solenoid valves on a manifold circuit. Based on the reference numbers selected, and operating conditions entered, characteristics such as pressure, displacement, speed and acceleration, as well as air consumption, are calculated and indicated. Let's continue on to view a video showing how the parameters for the common and individual sections should be entered in order to configure a manifold circuit. At the beginning of the manifold circuit selection, a window appears asking you to state the number of valves in your circuit. Select the number and click OK. Circuit configuration. On this screen, choose the manifold type for the common part on the right-hand side. Select direct pipe type or base pipe type. Click on each circuit and fill in the configuration. By clicking on Next, you get to the condition input screen. Fill in the manifold configuration, then click the input number for the first cylinder and give it a name. Select the type of actuator, the type and location of the control equipment, and the solenoid valve. Continue by entering the data for the stroke and the load. The configured circuit appears automatically on the left-hand side. If several circuits are identical, click on Copy, select the circuit to be copied, and the destination circuit, validate with OK. Finish off with Start Calculation. A screen displays the calculations for all the circuits. If you would like the details for each circuit, click the individual result button, and select the chosen circuit. Branch circuit. This function is available for circuits operating with a maximum of 10 cylinders, including both single and double-acting cylinders with a solenoid valve. When calculating the characteristics for a branch circuit that has several cylinders operating from one valve, Characteristics such as displacement time, speed and acceleration, as well as air consumption, are calculated based on the model numbers and parameters entered. During the branch circuit selection, a window appears asking you to state the number of cylinders in your circuit. You also need to select the branch type, from one point or multiple points. In this example, we will have 2 cylinders and select branch from 1 point. Click Next to continue. Circuit configuration. This screen is used to select the actuator, the solenoid valve and the control equipment to configure an operating circuit. The location of the flow controller and the type of solenoid valve for the common part are selected on the right-hand side. Click on each circuit and fill in the configuration. By clicking on Next, you get to the condition input screen. The conditions and the references for the common part are entered on the right-hand side, and populate automatically in the bottom left of the screen. The conditions and the references for the individual part are selected by clicking on the highlighted circuit number, and if desired, copied using the copy function as shown previously. Finish off with Start Calculation. A screen displays the calculations for all the circuits. If you would like the details for each circuit, click the individual result button and select the circuit number. We are now going to look at the final function offered by the software, Model Selection, Simple version. The simplified version of model selection software works in the same way as the standard cylinder circuit. The screen separates the items which should be entered, from items which should not be changed, in order to simplify use. The essential data entry section is located in the middle of the screen. The parameters that rarely change are located on the left-hand side of the screen. This section is locked and grayed out, however you can always unlock the section by clicking on the option Change button. The operating procedure is as follows. Enter the essential operating conditions in the central part. In the selection criteria, choose whether you want the cylinder model to be specified by the user, or selected automatically by the software. Then choose the selection method, by optimal size priority or connection priority. Start the selection by pressing the Selection Starts button, and specify the series for each component in the order. When all the calculations are complete, the output section displays the results of calculations and component references. The results for the cushion calculation and the condensation calculation appear in Other Results. Please adhere to the following precautions for use. This software selects models by theoretical calculation, and the result may be a little different from the real products. Only use the result as a reference. Read warnings and cautions in our catalog before using the registered products in this software. The table of contents and the registered products from this software may be modified without prior warning. Copying or reproducing part, or all of this software is prohibited without prior authorization. The copyright for this software belongs to SMC Corporation. SMC Corporation holds all the rights to this software, including the intellectual property rights. The rights should also be in force for updated or revised versions in the future. Thank you for taking the module Model Selection Software, Part 2. You are now going to test your knowledge with a quiz.